everybody.
Hello.
Let's see if this projector's still working. I hope that wasn't a burnout that happened. It was just a timeout. Let's turn this guy back on. Fingers crossed. Well, get this up and running.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Haggerty. Thank you for having me. Therese, thank you for inviting me. It's been really cool getting to know this community since I've moved to Emeryville. I've been in Emeryville now about 7 years, but I never really engaged deeply with the community. I'm a very isolationist kind of person. I don't really kind of socialize too much. But after COVID and just really feeling the intensity of being alone all the time and being disconnected, coming out of it, I really wanted to re-engage with what it means to be in the real world. We spend so much time in this like digital kind of experience, isolated, flattened, and disconnected, that a lot of my work is my reason to get back out into the real world and explore it and kind of find its beauty. And so that's really a lot of what my work kind of navigates and has curiosity around. So with that, I'm gonna just show you some of my work. I'll talk a little bit about it. It's mostly gonna be me showing the works. They are film-based. But yeah, let's take a look. Let's kick it off. So I'm just calling this talk the Illuminating the Real World. And a lot of my work is projection-based, is light-based, and there's a real concerted effort to ground things in reality, the physical reality, the reality of this world. And I'll just kind of like a little description about this. So this piece was called The Ginkgo Tree, and it's the last surviving member of its species. The ginkgo tree is referred to as a living fossil that has traveled our world for over 270 million years. Its resiliency and beauty are ancient on a cosmic level. And just this description like really kind of sat with me a lot because of this. We are now kind of entering into an age where reality is becoming very artificial, very flat and very disconnected from real reality. And it's becoming very difficult to live in that space and feel so disconnected from this space, this real space, the community space. And I think with COVID just having this hard separation line of dividing and separating us from the past reality of what we considered real, those 5 years, we just kind of, at least for me, I've really lost that connection. So I wanted to kind of re-find it, rediscover it. And so there's always this tension of the artificial and the reality, which one's which? And so like the digital world really desires nothing more than to serve us as a hyper-personalized flattening of time, space, and the very concept of what is real. But once everything can be artificially generated, nothing quite feels real anymore. And so much of what I'm trying to kind of like reconnect with is that. It's like, how can I get back into the physical reality? So a lot of my personal work is, I'm a woodworker, I make things, I try to make things in this reality that I can feel, touch, have community around. And I wanted to see if I could turn this into something more engaging, more immersive, to really fill my entire consciousness with reality, true reality, visually. And so I started making these like kaleidoscopes. And again, like I'm not a kaleidoscope artist kind of thing. It just kind of like ended up going down this way. And so I started out making these like little ones for friends, family, just to kind of experience this immersive kind of experience. But it didn't feel like enough. So I wanted to do something bigger. Like, can I get completely overwhelmed by the reality of this? So I have this idea of the overwhelming oneness of time and reality. To be fully immersed in the unfolding beauty of the natural reality on an infinite scale, expanding outward to every corner of consciousness until nothing artificial remains. So really kind of just filling your entire sense of awareness and consciousness with something that you can, at least I can ground in the providence of something I filmed, I made. I can see it, it grew, it's natural, it's real life. And then just completely overwhelm your senses with it so that nothing can, the artificial world can insert itself, because it's always trying to grab our attention. And so that led me down this road of like, how big can I make these kaleidoscopes? Can I make them bigger? Can I make them? And so I have done now like 10 different versions of these things, just getting bigger and bigger and more kind of like immersive. And that's kind of led me down into this space. So all of this stuff is handmade, you know, so it's all the fractals and everything that you see is, they're the mirrors. You're seeing real light go through real mirrors, and you're really seeing it for what it is. So there's like no special effects, no CGI, nothing fake, at least as much as I can identify it as such. And it gives you these incredible fractal, infinite visuals that just kind of become wildly interesting, at least to me. And they just create these true sense of awe and beauty in the natural world, just brought to life through mirrors and lights. And all of this stuff is just plants and things I've shot around here in Emeryville. So everything that I'm shooting is, as much as I can, grounding it here in like the natural environment around us. So this is all stuff shot like around the seashore or down like people's gardens, and you know, the first ginkgo tree was the one on Doyle Street, down that way. And so then I created these films, if you will. So I'll just let this run for a sec. music. It's this band that I've met, Konski. They're like this jazz trio. They play all unamplified instruments. Like everything is like trying to ground it in as much physical reality as possible. And this set was a piece that I was producing for the top of Salesforce Tower, because I wanted to see like how big could you make these things? How much could you share it as wide as you could share it? And then that turned into this film. Let's see if I can. So this was a montage of the film. I'll just kind of let this run. So after shooting this and just walking around and seeing, I'll talk about this first. So to my idea of I wanted to ground this as much in reality, I'm even documenting as much of the reality as I can in time. So this is a 360 photo, because again, like the digital world, everything can be so flattened and you don't know what's real, and it's all like, when did it happen? Did it happen? So for me, I'm trying to almost infect the digital world with reality. And so I took this shot, this is over by the seashore in Emeryville, and I put it onto Google Maps just so that it would be there forever. Like, you know, capture this moment that you can't deny that this was something that actually happened and it was shot here and it existed. And so, you know, in 1,000 years, this will be discoverable by someone maybe, that like Emeryville had this moment and we can kind of capture it and it still exists. But yeah, so it was just really, it was really reaffirming to see people engaging with reality, looking up at the tower and kind of having a moment with like a couple just kind of having a stroll in the park and just enjoying seeing real life and feeling real life. And so I wanted to kind of see if I could do more of it. And so I had this idea of bringing the midnight murals, I called it, where I would take these films and just project them all over the city. Random times at night, random times, no one really knows when, and just people can stumble across them and just have these delightful moments of real life nature just popping up out of nowhere, and just kind of have this moment to share just for yourself, just for the people you're with, and again, just to kind of help people and myself just re-engage with community instead of being stuck in their phone or stuck in their laptop or stuck at home. When they walk outside, they can enjoy this moment together.
Mike, I was one of those people, and you got 5 minutes left.
I know, okay. Then I'm gonna go right to the end then, so the last piece here is kind of calling it the monolith, and it's about the MacArthur Maze. And so, which is like, it's a piece of like our megalithic structure of our community. And from that whole area, from the Ohlone time to now, has had so much history. And so I just felt it was quite interesting to you can just tell us a little story here. So the story of the MacArthur Maze, it's a beautiful parallel of our own struggles with the enormity of existence. We're here, and then we're not here, but a part of us still remains. So I'll just let this run. And so you can kind of see I was doing these projections onto the pylons there that have survived so much, and they look like these megalithic structures from, a prehistoric time, but it's almost a moment that you can kind of connect to, and it supports so much, it just has its power to it. So I wanted to kind of explore this concept. So I'll just let this film run.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you for having me, everybody.
Hey, but how about some questions?
Do we have time for questions?
Yes, we do.
I was there. I was there,
Were you there?
and I saw all that happening, and I think I just think I had some PTSD watching this movie.
I was really worried about that, actually. To me, it was,
Wow.
the piece to me was like a sign of the resilience of a community. How it can go through so much tragedy over and over. We're talking thousands of years in the past. And yet the community keeps finding ways to rebuild itself and find ways to move forward together. I hope I didn't traumatize you too much, I'm sorry. Thank you.
When that night, does it car see it? Does it affect their vision? Can you put it?
No, so it's pointing north, so the cars aren't getting, it's not going in the cars' headlights.
Great, that just cars being.
Questions in the back?
Hi. I have two questions. One is, so I thought it was interesting that you talked about the reality of the nature that you're sourcing,
Hmm.
but your pieces are actually like simulations, so they're kind of removed one. And I'm wondering, like, with the tower, the Salesforce tower, do pretty much everybody recognize those as natural forms, or did you have people who would be like, I didn't know you what that is?
You know, most people, like the few people I did end up talking to, it was very different depending on
Yeah.
what kind of state of mind they were in.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
They were like two, finance guys. I was like, oh, what do you think of the thing the other day? He's like, I hate Salesforce, that looks stupid. And I was like, well, that wasn't the question. But then like that couple that was walking there, they were having like a genuinely intimate moment at night together. And to them, they were just sitting there just watching it and just enjoying that moment. You know, so it really depends on like your headspace and where you're at and how you kind of interpret stuff.
So my other question is, the monoliths are really beautiful, and that music is amazing.
It's a bucola, which is designed here in Berkeley.
Have you ever, or do you ever, or can you put the sound when you project it on this?
I do, yeah. So I have like a little speaker. So yeah. So there is like, an experiential moment. For the people that have seen it on the bridge, I don't know how many have. I'll usually have like a little speaker going down there so you can kind of just sit and just listen to the music and hear it. Yes.
I was born and raised in Alaska, and when I saw it in the orientation on its side going up the column, it reminded me of totem poles.
Same. Yep.
And there was part of me that was just like, I get where you were going with this storytelling of the bridge itself, but just to say that there's something there in that orientation and as a totem, and the flowers themselves are telling a different story, or I guess it was adding to the story we're trying to convey. But even just without the story of the fire and the history of the poles themselves with your imagery really just tell stories because of what the poles are for, is telling stories. I like that orientation. I just wanted to.
Yeah, that's nice. I thought about that as well. Like being out there, I don't try to overthink the approach. I kind of let the creativity and just lead me where it's gonna go. And the monolith structures, they did very much feel like totem poles. And totem poles, like, they tell stories generationally, right? Like that's what they're sort of there for, to remind you and to kind of have like something that can pass through time and connect to that. So.
I was one of the people that came upon the work that you had
You were.
off of the railroad tracks, and the experience of that was, for me, it was significant. And you chose a wall that was dark enough that your imagery came up and enlivened the space. And I just think that you add to our town when you find a space and do that. And I just want to thank you for doing that for our city. Coming upon that is just a wonderful experience. And thank you.
That means a lot. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. It seems like you must have quite a few interventions with people, because you're really out there.
I try to get out there. You know, I mean, that's part of the purpose of it too, to meet our neighbors.
Yeah.
Because that's what community actually is. You know, it's those moments where you're just kind of stumbling into each other and having these intimate moments.
Yeah.
to me.
That's the richness. It's awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.